Comcast, so anything can happen.
And Virginia Tech is 9-3 at home. How about the Star Watch tonight?
Well, Daniel Ewing has been hot lately. 18 points, 4 assists over the last 3. He's the one that applies the ball pressure that keys the Duke defense. And Xavier Dowdell scored in double figures all 11 games. He's the Tech go-to guy.
The lineups both will go with a 3-guard offense. Physically, it's a good matchup for Virginia Tech because they don't have a big inside presence either. But Duke has the conference's leading rebounder in Sheldon Williams. In fact, he is tied for the national lead in rebounding at 11.9 a game. Reddick controls the opening tip and gives it up to Ewing.
And Mike, it's very important for Virginia Tech to get off to a good start, stay in the game, and keep this crowd in the game.
Like that?
That's not bad.
Jamon Gordon and Dowdell will handle the ball outside. And forced out of bounds is Deron Washington. Seth Greenberg, in his second year, he took this job knowing this school was in the Big East. And right after he got it, they switched to the ACC. So he's been in Conference USA, the Big East, and the ACC in the space of 3 years. And Mike Krzyzewski, the longtime head coach at Duke, 639 wins for the Blue Dogs.
And Mike, I tell you, the contrast in body size between the big guys for Duke as opposed to the big guys for Virginia Tech is amazing.
The big guys for Duke are big guys, and Coleman Collins knocks down a jump shot.
That's going to be the contrast in the game. Duke would want to play a power game for a bit of time, establishing Sheldon Williams inside. And Virginia Tech wants to chip away from the perimeter.
Ewing, his shooting has really picked up. Had a slump almost all year. Did not have a good year last year. Dockery is a much better shooter as well. And Duke is back to that point where you can't leave anybody alone outside. The great bounce pass inside, but Williams gets a piece of it on the block, and here comes Reddick on the run. Great ball movement, and they draw a foul as Sheldon Williams goes to the hole.
But we told you Sheldon Williams among the nation's leaders in block shots. And again, it's all about the timing as he comes from the weak side, cleanly blocks that attempt to dunk.
He goes straight up, Lenny. He doesn't lean in. That's why he stays out of foul trouble, which he had not been able to do before.
Well, and it's improved footwork as well. You know, you saw him go from the weak side just one step and gather himself, and then the timing takes over.
And he's become a pretty good free throw shooter. 1 out of 2 there. Javlik Randolph getting a lot more minutes for Duke coming up. Back from mononucleosis. They should have Reggie Love available for the first time since the 9th game of the season tonight. The football player broke a bone in his foot. There's a runner by Carlos Dixon, who averages 13.8 points a game, and Dixon ties it at 4.
And at 6'7", Dixon is a tough matchup for J.J. Reddick. And look for Virginia Tech to try to slow Reddick not only on defense, but make him play defense.
Randolph looking inside against the zone, and now they get it to Ewing, and he throws it away. Gordon and Dixon in that first game really didn't have much of a chance. Gordon 5 fouls in 8 minutes. Dixon had 4 fouls in 8 minutes. Goodbye.
Seth Greenberg took an early shower as well.
Yes, he did.
And I spoke to Seth today and asked him about his welcome to Cameron. He'll remember that for a long time.
Great lean-in move from Jamon Gordon, his first 2, and the Hokies have the lead 6-4 against Duke. Dockery against the zone. Too strong. 1 and done. The rebound to Gordon. On the run to the left-hander Dixon. And every foul on Duke is going to get a big cheer from this crowd.
Jamon Gordon, again, he's the type of guy that can put the ball on the floor, and against the pressure Duke defense, you got to have somebody able to take the ball to the basket aggressively. If you wait to try to pass it to guys on the wings, you'll be waiting all day because Duke does a terrific job at pressuring the passing lane.
Blew an inbound opportunity there. The lob to Shavlik. Randolph, double clutch, and got it. Nice pass by Reddick. 6-6. We're at Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg. Really nice college facility. Just under 10,000. A nice atmosphere. Washington wheels his way in against Williams and bricks that one. The rebound goes to Collins, but he stepped on the baseline. The ACC has done some things for this attendance here in college basketball, as well as Seth Greenberg present. It has skyrocketed, more than doubled in the last 2 years.
And when you get a team of the caliber of Duke coming into your home, everybody wants to get a look. This is a tough ticket tonight.
Ewing, that was a tough shot and right in his face with Jamon Gordon. His defense so far has given Duke some trouble.
Well, they got long, lean guys who can get their hands in the passing lane. Long arms can bother shots.
Dockery. It's a little surprising that Dockery is part of the two-man game on his side rather than Ewing or Reddick. Collins will take the jumper and hit it.
And there's a guy in Coleman Collins who's been terrific the last 2 games. 16 points, 6 rebounds on average. He's got the ability to play inside as well as step out across Sheldon Williams.
Great head fake by Reddick. Missed the shot. Collins, by the way, a sophomore, but still only 18 years old. Dowdell had his pocket pick. Almost got it back. Dockery gets it out to Ewing.
You can't relax against Duke with the ball. I mean, you're looking, trying to survey the play, and they're still swiping at it. Very quick hands, good anticipation, particularly Sean Dockery.
And Virginia Tech is very good at stealing the ball as well. Ewing, great drive. Oh, that was pretty.
It was helped out by the gamble, though. You know, you want to play Daniel Ewing to the point where you gamble on him, you know he's going to take you to the basket. You got to keep him from turning the corner.
Duke in that overplay. Dockery nearly with a steal again. Shavlik Randolph got a piece of that one as Collins went in. And Seth Greenberg is up off the Virginia Tech bench. Shavlik Randolph, and Duke regains the lead.
Well, this was a physical type of play that Virginia Tech had to worry about. Again, I talked about the contrast in body size. Duke obviously much more rugged than the slender front court of Virginia Tech, and when you allow them to bump and grind, Virginia Tech's going to get the worst of it.
Neither team deep. So with that front five as much as they can. This foul will be on Shavlik Randolph, his first. Duke to the early lead, 14-24 to play first half. Back to Blacksburg in a minute. Duke with an early lead here in Blacksburg, 10-8 over Virginia Tech, 14-24 to go first half. Mike Patrick, Glenn Elmore, glad you could join us. First time these teams met in Durham, it was 100-65. Look at the free throw disparity. 30 out of 49 for Duke, 14 out of 23 for Virginia Tech. It's been a Duke tradition that they make more than the other team attempts. That tradition didn't set too well with Seth Greenberg in that first game. He picked up a couple technicals and was gone with about 5 minutes left in the game. He said he would like to go the full 40 minutes tonight.
He was pretty philosophical about it, and he knows that his young men won't back down. He's just hoping again that at least in his mind they get more of a balanced shape.
And free throws are not a strong suit for Virginia Tech. As a team, they're only shooting 64.8 from the line. Collins only a 66% shooter, but he looked good on those two. We're tied again at 10. Ewing for three. Nice rotation, but he missed it. Ahead to Dixon. Two Duke players back. They forced him to alter the shot, but right there is Jamon Gordon.
And Mike, you brought up a great point. Only two Duke players back. Virginia Tech with the hustle on the miss. And the one thing Virginia Tech is doing is they're attacking.
Reggie Love with a rebound. Love in for the first time since he broke his foot in the 9th game of the year. And Love could really help this ball club. Big body, former football player, tough kid.
And again, looking up the floor against Duke. Excellent pass. And that puts pressure on the defense. Even though the miss, look at the hustle. These young guys are into this game, and this is what I meant about playing on emotion. Keep this crowd in, and the young players respond.
Gordon with a miss. Fight for the rebound, and Duke clears. Ewing is a very strong kid, a lot stronger than he looks.
He looks pretty strong. Broad shoulders, thick.
We'll get in there and fight on the boards. Ewing goes baseline, puts it up as a block. And Ewing, the last one to touch it, out of bounds to the Hokies.
Well, Virginia Tech is definitely guarding the baseline, forcing Duke to that baseline, not allowing them to escape.
Collins already has 5 rebounds, and now they check in Jeff King, number 25. He's a tight end on Virginia Tech's football team and has a great future in that sport. Nelson is also in for Duke. Duke being very aggressive on defense. Dowdell having a tough time getting his shots. Knocks this one home and draws the foul on Dockery. That's a tough shot by Dowdell.
Well, we talked about Xavier Dowdell. Again, the go-to guy for this team. He's got plenty of range, got the ability to slash, and its ability to drive to the basket, set that shot up.
The average is 15 points a game, but in the ACC, he has raised it to 17-5. He has shot better since the conference games started, and that's very unusual. They may be checking whether this was a 3 or a 2.
For the Hokies, number 14, Robert Crandall, in for 33, Coleman Cobbs.
Looked like a 3. That's a long shot. It's tough to tell, but they're going to say it is.
Yeah, it was his ability, as I mentioned before. Dowdell's ability was respected in driving to the basket, and all he did was step towards the basket, then step back. Caught Dockery off balance.
Jamie Lucky, Ray Natili, and John Cahill. Outstanding officiating crew here tonight. The Hokies on top of Duke 16-10 after a rare 4-point play.
And Mike, a sure sign that Mike Krzyzewski believes that this is going to be a basketball game. He's got his big 3 on the bench right now. Reddick, Ewing, and Williams trying to give them some rest and some perspective because he knows they're going to have to go the long haul. That's been his biggest coaching responsibility, is manage the minutes for those 3 guys, knowing how important they are.
The big freshman, number 14, Robert Krabendam, is in, trying to give them some minutes in the pivots. He's only he's only 210 pounds.
Ewing's back in the ball game. Obviously, he took that shot, but had a few minutes on the bench with his other mates.
King,
A little excited.
That looked like a football shot. Not a lot of rotation on that one.
Well, listen to this crowd. I talked about environment. Duke faced this at Comcast Center against Maryland.
Boy, it's a nice job by Shavlik Randolph to get that ball and hang on to it and eventually create the foul. Well, right now, Duke not reacting to all this noise on the road very well. They're down by 6. Welcome back to Blacksburg, where the Hokies are leading the Blue Devils 16-10 with 11:54 to go first half.
Well, Jamon Gordon, normally known for his defense, he leads the ACC in steals and led the Big East last year in steals, but his athleticism has allowed him to give his team a big lift offensively. 4 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and just overall hustle out there on the floor.
Reddick has been a non-factor offensively. They'd like to get him loose. Melchione, number 13, is in for the first time. Shavlik Randolph, nice drop step to get it in the lane.
Well, Shavlik Randolph seems to be now getting his rhythm offensively. We know he lost 4 games due to mononucleosis. took him some time to come back, but Duke is going to him, and he's feeling confident.
And Sheldon Williams is back in there in the pivot for the Blue Devils after a rest. Reddick trying to penetrate, pull-up jumper, didn't get the roll. Rebound goes to Dixon. Dixon forced to count it anyway. Dixon with 4, and the lead is back to 6.
That was one of those adrenaline shots, Mike.
Yeah.
You hear that crowd going, and anything you put up right now, adrenaline and confidence.
Reddick, nice cut through the lane, got it out to Melchione. Duke's had some great looks from three-point range, but everything is kicked out.
Some of those shots have done everything but go down.
Dowdell trying to get away from Melchione. There's the double team. Dowdell pulls it back out. He can't hit the long shot. Knocked out of bounds out to Duke. Tomorrow night, Ice Cube, Nelly, Diana Taurasi, Mark McGrath, and more take the court in the McDonald's NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. Stuart Scott, Mark Jones, Tom Tolbert, Tim Legler, Stephen A. Smith, and Greg Anthony will all be there to cover this special event. The McDonald's NBA All-Star Celebrity Game presented by Sprite on ESPN tomorrow at 7 Eastern.
I got a feeling Diana Taurasi is going to be taking some rappers off the bounce.
Oh, she is so good.
Oh, yeah.
See who picked up that foul. No foul, just knocked out of bounds.
Right now, the go-to guy for Duke is Shavlik Randolph.
Lost it on the way up and was fouled. Deron Washington, the freshman from New Orleans, 6'7", 190. Really isn't a big body outside of King to put in the pivot.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. You look at the contrast, and Randolph with his size and his ability down low, his experience down low, they found a mismatch right now with Deron Washington, the slender Deron Washington.
Shavlik Randolph straight to the free throw line, no good, at 6 points on the night. Randolph's 240, so when he's in there against Washington, he's got a 50-pound advantage. And really, there's no one else to run in there against him. And he missed them both. Sheldon Williams swatted at it, and it goes off of Virginia Tech. And the Hokies bench really upset about that call.
And what Seth Greenberg is screaming about is Sheldon Williams going over the back of the Virginia Tech player. And when, that starts to happen, you want to be able to block guys out. The blockout doesn't even work.
Reddick with a drive. Dixon slaps it away.
Carlos Dixon with that soft touch in the paint.
20-12. How about this?
I said it at the beginning of the telecast. When you have a young team and you've got an emotional crowd and they're looking for some revenge, they can rise to heights they probably never thought they could.
This was the block by Collins. I said Dixon. Dixon ended up getting the basket, but Collins.
And then here's Dixon again. That little mid-range shot, pulls up, takes what the defense gives him. No more, no less. A nice soft touch from about 8 feet.
Williams, the 9th leading scorer in the ACC, hits the first free throw. And Washington will go out with his second personal foul. Alan Calloway, junior from Gretna, Virginia. He's 6'8", 210 comes in.
He's no bigger than Washington. Matter of fact, he had to pull his shorts, so they're about to fall off his hips.
Well, he's listed as 20 pounds heavier, but I don't know where he put it. 20-14, Virginia Tech in control against number 8 Duke. Williams with a rebound off the miss. Sheldon Williams just cool. Never seems to force anything. Reddick gets knocked to the floor. No call there. Williams, great step underneath, has it blocked.
Goaltending is the call.
And goaltending.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, at least the first blush, that was an unorthodox block from behind.
It looked good.
It might have been in the cylinder, but also Callaway touched the rim.
Yeah.
So those are two reasons. The ball might have been in the cylinder, but it was pretty close. But Callaway did touch the rim.
But it was impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I like that one. And I'm a harsh critic.
Dixon with a runner won't go. Virginia Tech gets the offensive rebound. Duke trying to step up the defensive pressure.
Amazing.
Good catch. Collins will then try one from the lane. Can't hit it. Callaway made a nice catch just to keep the ball in play. Got it back to Dixon, but he couldn't hit the shot.
And again, Virginia Tech, they're getting muscled underneath there. They're going to have to find a way to take this stand. The officials are allowing them to play.
Reddick, who has not hit a shot. Ewing finally hits the three. He's been 2 of 5 from the floor, and Daniel Ewing now has 8 points.
It's amazing the amount of contact on both ends. You would think after the last game with all the complaints,
right,
that it would get tightened up a little bit, but the officials are allowing them to play. And
they're really going after each other right now.
And if they set that standard, then nobody has. Oh, man.
What a pass. No look by Dixon. Now what a beauty.
I was speechless.
Memories of Larry Bird.
Holy mackerel.
Well, that goes on my highlight reel. Reddick with a runner, no. Offensive rebound and a putback to Reggie Love.
And that's what Reggie Love will give you, 3 or 4 minutes in each half. Toughness on the board.
Collins with a runner. Had a look, couldn't hit it. Ewing, 2-on-2. Into the lane, left hand, draws the foul. And now, Ewing and Gordon with a little push on each other at the end of the play. Watch this pass. Oh, is that sweet? And the lead is 1. You just joined us in Blacksburg. Surprise, Virginia Tech, which lost by 35 in the first meeting, up by 1. Ewing goes to the line, and J.J. Reddick still has not scored in this ball game. Has 2 assists, but has not been able to hit any shots. Ewing at the line, in and out. Ken and Jeannie Reddick from Roanoke. He went to high school about 40 miles from here, outside of Roanoke, and said he honed that jump shot in the driveway, which he described as a third gravel, a third dirt, and a third grass.
He doesn't put it on the floor when he needs to shoot that 3.
Oh, might hit the gravel.
I tell you what, though, it's been pretty good defense by Virginia Tech in their shoot-around today. That's all they worked on, being able to deny or at least follow J.J. Reddick and have a guy's hand in his face.
King made a great play just to catch that tough pass from Collins, and then he draws the foul. The shot wouldn't fall for him.
Well, right here, just a little tight end screen for Jeff King, starting tight end on the Virginia Tech football team. And then he uses his strength to muscle it up, take the hit, and get the ball up on the rim.
Shavlik Randolph picks up the free throw. For Jeff King, that was his 3rd free throw made this year out of 5 tries. He just hasn't had that many minutes. Getting more as the season wears on.
You got a body like that, you know, you're a contact magnet.
I wouldn't know. 24-22, Hokies on top by a pair. They've led most of the ball game. They've been in control most of the game. Reddick into the lane, first bucket for J.J. Reddick.
And you notice what J.J. Reddick did. He wasn't connected from beyond the arc, and instead of continually trying to shoot out there and grow anxiety, he decided to get closer to the basket, get easier ones. That's how you get yourself off the schneid. Start getting easier shots, get close to the basket, and then when they fall, you feel more confident.
Plus, if he's fouled, he's the best free throw shooter that ever lived. Jamon Gordon wheels into the lane and hits the jumper. Hokies playing with a lot of confidence. going to be an offensive foul against Duke. Sheldon Williams set a screen, which does not please Mike Krzyzewski on that call.
But it looked as though Williams was moving just a bit to try to really rub Dixon off. Dixon's been doing a nice job with Reddick, again, because he's 6'7". He follows, and when he follows Reddick, Reddick receives and turns. He's got a 6'7" guy with extremely long arms in his face.
Aren't too many screeners that don't move some, are there?
It's imperceptible.
King draws Williams way out with him and then tries to loop him underneath into a triple team. And now the basket's hung up underneath. And Ewing will go get it.
I'll give King some credit. You know, he turned the ball over, but it's not as though he's not passing with confidence. That was ill-advised. But nevertheless, he's playing with confidence on both ends, you know, doing what he can to fulfill his role. Now you got two receivers playing each other, Love and King.
Sheldon Williams got good position, but against the double team, couldn't hit the shot, and he was the last to touch it underneath. And it's out to the Hokies. Well, 2 out of the last 3 trips, they have run that high-low post play between King and Collins, each with the passer once.
So what King has to do, if he's going to throw it, he's going to have both hands on it so he can pull it back if he has to.
Gordon with a three-pointer. Here comes Dockery. Leaves it for Reddick. Just can't buy a 3 early. You know how much being from this area is a homecoming, how much he wants to play well tonight. Dowdell, poor pass. Got caught up in the air. And Dockery, that should be an intentional foul. Sean Harris reached out and pushed him with the left hand, was not going for the ball.
Number 3, Sean Harris.
But then, after the whistle, went for the ball, and I think he's going to get away with it.
Well, again, I think the officials interpreted this kind of as a hand check, but he was definitely slowing him down so he could block the shot. He made a play on the ball that time.
Tough calling that a hand check. It was more like a stiff arm.
So when you got shoulders that big, you get penalized when you talk about Sean Harris.
Well, again, I can't relate. Dockery hits the free throw.
How about it being a smart play? You can relate.
Oh, well, thank you, man. From the first game, 19 out of 35 in the first half for Duke from the free throw line. Tonight, much more even. Now 6 out of 10 as Dockery hits another one. We're tied at 26.
And again, even though Dockery hit both of them, I say smart play because it's a breakaway layup.
Right.
And you make the guy earn it on the free throw line.
Dowdell, nice dish. Partially blocked in there by Sheldon Williams, who again goes straight up and got a piece of it. Duke has been very careless with the ball in this game against a Virginia Tech team that's very good at stealing.
How about the job of Jamon Gordon that time with the loose ball? Duke guys surrounding him. He didn't give up possession, eluded them, and was able to get Xavier Dowdell the ball.
Gordon has great hands, leads the ACC in steals. Top 25 in the nation, led the Big East a year ago in that department. 4:05 to go first half. Gordon, no basket, draws a foul. That'll be on Ewing.
That's his first.
Number 1 on Daniel Ewing. Saturday, a full day of college basketball on ESPN. First at noon, Luther Head in Illinois taking on an Iowa Hawkeye team that forced the undefeated Illini into overtime last month. The noon game subject to blackout in Illinois and Iowa. Then at 9 Eastern, Mississippi State against number 3 Kentucky.
I think that Iowa game for Illinois may be the last trap,
I think so too.
That they can overcome. They will get to that undefeated regular season, and Luther Head, at least in my mind, Big Ten Player of the Year.
Wonderful, wonderful player. It's a great backcourt. They got 3 guards in play.
Oh, yeah. And I remember when Luther Head was a freshman, Bill Self was the coach. He told me that he was going to be special.
Yeah, he was right. 28-26. This is Melchionic. Seth Greenberg going very, very deep into his bench right now. Reddick, nice penetration, kicks it out. And Dockery has really become a threat from the outside, something he wasn't the first 2 years in his Duke uniform.
You absolutely cannot leave him alone because he's also willing to take that shot.
Collins forced that one up from the baseline, and Sheldon Williams, the uncontested rebound. Duke with the ball in a 1-point lead.
Last year, Sean Dockery only 19% from beyond the arc, and he was running away from threes.
Melchione fouled by Tucker. And we've got a timeout. 3 minutes and 18 seconds to go, first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like the SEC, Coach, where you saw Kentucky go into South Carolina, kind of similar night in Blacksburg.
Absolutely. Castle Coliseum is a tough place to play. Duke's certainly learning that. That's all coming up at the half. Mike?
All right, thanks, Dave. Melchione at the free throw line gives Duke a 2-point lead. Now, there's no safe places to play. A lot of people who were tired of being beaten up every night were hopeful that Virginia Tech and Miami would at least provide a respite every once in a while. It hasn't worked out that way. And you've got Boston College next year.
No doormatch there.
Great backdoor pass as Dixon got away from Reddick.
Well, that's what we talk about and call pressure release. We talk about Duke's ability to overplay that wing. It's a good antidote.
Dockery to Williams. Williams just powers his way in, and there's another goaltending call as Jamon Gordon got there to block it late.
We mentioned before, Duke loves to overplay that wing, disrupt your offense, so you hit the high post, allow that wing guy to go back door, catch the defender's aggressiveness and use it against him.
Duke with a 3-point lead as we approach 2.5 minutes. Virginia Tech has done very well inside. They're only losing the points in the paint battle by 2. Dixon going one-on-one with draw foul from Dockery. That'll be 2 on the junior from Chicago.
Big fouls on the 15, Sean Dockery. That's his second.
Well, again, when you need to take
On the Blue Devils.
the ball and get to the basket, Jamon Gordon is the guy from Virginia Tech that's got the slashing ability. With the pressure on the wings and shutting off your offensive set, you need somebody with the creativity to take you off the bounce.
Hit all 3 of his free throws tonight. Only a 55% shooter on the year out of Jacksonville, Florida. It's amazing the number of athletes that come out of Jacksonville. Missed that one. Williams with a rebound. It's a 2-point game. Duke won the first meeting by 35.
Well, what Virginia Tech has been able to do thus far is withstand that Duke run towards the end of the half.
Dockery, great quickness on the penetration. Can't hit the shot after he got inside. Gets it up to Gordon.
And normally when you play Duke, they have that burst of energy the last 5 minutes in that first half and really puts teams away. Virginia Tech very deliberate right now, getting the ball where they need to draw fouls.
Did a nice job there. They got Dowdell posted up on Ewing. Tomorrow night, Ice Cube, Nelly, Diana Taurasi, Mark McGrath. How's that for a combination? Take the court in the McDonald's NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. Stuart Scott, Mark Jones, Tom Tolbert, Tim Legler, Stephen A. Smith, Greg Anthony, and everybody else we can find will be there to cover this special event, the McDonald's NBA All-Star Celebrity Game, presented by Sprite, tomorrow at 7 Eastern.
Now, I know Nelly can croon, but I didn't know he had any game.
We'll find out tomorrow night. Hokies can tie it with a free throw here. And do. Xavier Dowdell out of Pahokee, Florida, has given us a 33-33 tie. Williams, Melchione, back to Sheldon Williams. Had that partially blocked. It's been a nice job on Sheldon Williams.
Well, he's held his ground. And look at Seth Greenberg coming out and giving Collins a big gap.
Time now to take a look back on this date in college basketball history. Led by Ruth Riley, Notre Dame's women were dominating the nation in February 2001, but C. Vivian Stringer's Scarlet Knights paid that little heed on this date, and Rutgers pulled off a shocking 54-53 upset, one of just 2 games the Fighting Irish lost on their way to a national championship. The reason Len Elmore gets the big dollars as the analyst, I asked him at the beginning of the game, it's a 35-point blowout the first time these teams met. Now they're playing here in Blacksburg. Can this make that much of a difference? And, of course, he said yes, and it has. It's 33-33 with a minute and a half to go. First half. Nice call.
Well, you know, ACC road games, I don't care who you are, even Carolina is vulnerable on the road.
And that is a backcourt violation. Now Seth Greenberg says, wait a minute, it was touched. And the officials say, no, sit down, it wasn't touched. 8 ties, 5 lead changes first half.
Frustrating.
13 to go here.
Mike, the frustrating thing for Seth Greenberg is that he called the play out of the huddle and didn't expect it to just blow up in their faces.
Melchione had that one blocked. Fight for the rebound. Here comes Virginia Tech on the run. 2-on-2. Gordon, pull-up jumper. Got it! What a heck of a play at both ends of the court by the Hokies. And Gordon has 11 points, and they've got the lead back. I'm impressed.
Well, they've mastered the mid-range jumper. Playing good defense. We know that Dowdell and particularly Jamon Gordon are terrific defenders. And then now they're playing a transition game as well. And look at Gordon push it in that mid-range jumper. You make up the room. The defenders are in the paint. You take it as far as you can and pull up. Not enough guys do that.
Man, that's pretty good hustle. He comes out on the wing, gets a piece of the blocked shot, and then turns and sprints down court and is rewarded with the basket.
They're turning the table is on Duke. They lead the ACC in blocked shots. But it's Virginia Tech right now making the most use out of the blocks.
35-33. Hokies on top under a minute to go. This is where they usually love to get Redick isolated for a 3. A huge shot, a momentum changer. Like that.
No question about it. Even though Virginia Tech played it the way they wanted to, Redick with that unlimited range. And the one mistake Dixon made was he didn't get his hands up.
Tell you what, with a minute to go and a half, I would never let him get a shot. He's going to make it.
Right, especially a shot without getting your hands up. Dixon's been great getting his hands up. That time he left him at his side.
Redick is just a lethal shooter.
Lost his dribble, better come get it. Look at the Duke overplay.
That's going to make it tough. Gordon, 5 on the shot clock. Nice floater, missed the shot. Gordon got the rebound and then lost it. Gordon wanted to call, but that was not touched by anybody. He went up and lost it himself. And Duke has a 1-point lead and a chance to get the basketball back down court again. Ewing pushing, looking for that last shot. Got the opportunity, and Williams got the tip. They couldn't convert. So Duke, fighting the entire half, finally takes the lead at the buzzer. 36-35. Redick hits his first 3 under a minute to go. 36-35. Duke on top. Let's join Dave Revson and Doug Gottlieb. Never count him out. First half stats. Duke shooting only 38% from the floor, being outshot by Virginia Tech. They've hit only 4 3-pointers. 8 out of 12 from the free throw line. Virginia Tech actually has an advantage there. And there's the turnover story. If you're Virginia Tech, after you lost by 35 in the first game, you're within a point. Is 9-3. They are 5-6 in the ACC. If they go on to win this game tonight, they would be in a tie for 4th place in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Both they and Miami were picked at the bottom of the conference standings in the preseason as the new kids on the block. They have not been walkovers all year long.
I also think a lot of that came from a lack of respect for the Big East.
Yep, absolutely. None anymore. Sabian Dowdell working outside. Gordon. Follow just rims out. Nice offensive rebound by Collins, but he couldn't get it to drop.
And that's what Collins is going to have to do. He can't bang bodies with Sheldon Williams, but he can move his feet, utilize his quickness. Look how deeply envisioned.
Boy, he sure is. And blocked from behind and taken away by Deron Washington. Heck of a play. Dowdell left alone. Bank it in. Bank isn't supposed to be open this late.
That's why they have ATMs now.
Hokies back by 1. He'll feel guilty, but he'll take it.
That's a nice job right there by Jamon Gordon to cut Ewing off at the baseline. Again, you don't want Daniel Ewing turning the corner on you.
Reddick looking for a screen, a little room. May have gotten away with a push-off. Certainly the fans here think so. Then he buries a 3.
But Deron Washington thinking, what does he have to do to get a call?
Virginia Tech coming back the other way, 1 and done. The rebound to Dockery.
And this is where Virginia Tech has to recognize when Duke scores, they've got to work harder to score. They can't just settle for the jump shot.
Williams powers his way in. 41-37. Duke by 4. Sheldon Williams now has 9. The sense is it's an important possession.
Oh, absolutely. Again, Virginia Tech, and they recognize it as well. Much more deliberate.
Deron Washington picks up an offensive foul, throwing an elbow. That's 3 on Washington.
And where Seth Greenberg is frustrated with the officials, Mike Krzyzewski keeps working him. He congratulated the official on that call.
Coaches are amazing. And now we'll go back the other way. Shavlik Randolph called for an offensive foul. And now it's Mike Krzyzewski's turn to complain and Seth Greenberg's turn to hand out congratulations.
Mike said, hey, I just congratulated on a great call.
Randolph will come out with his 3rd at the 17:58 mark.
And that's a big foul. Shavlik Randolph in the first half, perfect from the field, 3 for 3. He was the inside presence more so than Sheldon Williams in that first half.
Dowdell can't get inside. He and Gordon do most of the ball handling outside. Now Dowdell forced that one up. Really not a good shot at all.
Well, here's the trade of fouls. Look at the elbow right there.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously thought he was clearing the ball, but the elbow was very visible.
And a little payback at the other end as Shavlik Randolph said, I remember what you did about 30 seconds ago. Oh, what a follow, Collins! Holy cow, he's made a couple of spectacular plays.
Sheldon Williams better not sleep on Coleman Collins. That's the second time we've seen so far that Williams hasn't put a body on him.
Williams returning the favor, draws the foul, goes down hard. And he's just getting more and more physical. That's 4 on Washington.
Well, you take a look at Washington right here. Well, that was Collins on the follow. And once again, we'll see it from another angle. Sheldon Williams just never blocked him out. And on the other end, Darren Washington is kind of like the monster guy in football, right, roving around the court. When Williams gets the ball down low, Washington's coming over really trying for the block as Collins starts to hold his position. And that's when things get dangerous, when you get a guy like that flying through the air.
4 on Deron Washington, the freshman from New Orleans. And King, the tight end on the football team, will come back in to join Collins up front. King is really their only size off the bench, their only bulk. He's got a 6'11" freshman down there, but he doesn't provide any big shoulders or big backside for him. Duke by 3. foul away from the ball. This is going to be on King. Guys exchanging elbows and picking up fouls.
You know, that's not the thing that you want to engage in if you're Virginia Tech. You know, obviously use your body, but you don't want to give away opportunities right now, especially when you're on a roll.
Reddick, nice drive, goes to the left hand and scores. The other factor with that, Len, if you come down at the end and everybody's shooting a lot of free throws, the advantage is to Duke as a team. And Reddick will be called for a block. That's his second.
Well, again, the added dimension this year, J.J. Reddick's ability to get to the basket, he just leaves the defender behind, you know, deceptively quick.
You can tell how hard he has worked, not only with his left-hand dribble, but shooting it with his left hand. He's just become a complete player. Kings! How about that? The tight end goes out to about 19 feet and drains one.
And the message that he sent was, you better play me. Sheldon Williams, you can't camp in that lane. You better come out and play me.
King, a 30% shooter with limited opportunities on the year. Ewing gets inside the line and knocks it down. Both teams starting to heat up from the perimeter. Ewing has 11. Here's a block from behind and a foul before the block.
Official timeout on the floor.
We've got a timeout on the court. 15:54 to go. Extended his lead to 5, but Coleman Collins has done his darndest to keep Virginia Tech in this game. The sophomore from Stone Mountain, Georgia, with his first double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, only one off of his career high, and that spectacular pass. He's only 18 years old, played as a freshman last year, was tough down the stretch as a 17-year-old.
And Mike, he missed some games early in the season. He had to get a cyst removed from his foot. Came back December 27th. And in those last 12 games, he's averaged 13.7 rebounds. And has really been a mainstay on the defensive end.
They need a basket here.
That's a good defensive play by Sheldon Williams that time.
It was. He got a piece of Collins' shot. Reddick. No, and King with a rebound.
And even on the opponent's floor, when J.J. Reddick shoots the ball, you got that buzz of anticipation.
Yeah, the building gets very quiet. King, point-blank look, and he missed. And Sheldon Williams takes the rebound away from him. King is just really getting into basketball shape. There is a difference between football shape and basketball shape.
Well, absolutely. Different muscles being used, and King didn't get any elevation on that one.
Sheldon Williams, double team, knocked away by Gordon, who came from behind and got a piece. And Virginia Tech has reacted pretty well all night long to Sheldon Williams getting the ball down low. Love. King tried to flop and get a charge that time, and he and Love collide again.
Look like some special teams play.
It does. And somebody's going to get a forearm in a second, I can guarantee you that. Ewing on the way in, foul before the shot.
That's his second.
Carlos Dixon upset. He's not getting any help.
Dixon picks up his second foul.
That's what seniors can do. They can scream at guys.
Sheldon Williams goes to the left hand, can't hit the shot, and then knock the ball out of bounds trying to get the loose ball.
The seniors can scream at guys as long as they have something to scream about.
Yeah. Neither team, or Virginia Tech, not shooting well in the second half. Here's the steal, and Ewing with a big jam. Duke makes those kind of plays all the time, just stakes in the heart. The lead goes to 7, 13 for Ewing.
And here's another critical juncture for Virginia Tech. Again, a young team. Got to value the ball out there in this particular possession. When you look at the defense by Daniel Ewing, gets his hands on ball, doesn't allow the ball handler to turn. And it was the harassment that forced that turnover.
Defense forces these kind of mistakes. Duke has done it for years under Mike Krzyzewski, especially at critical times. They turn up the intensity. They end up with easy baskets, and they leave these buildings with wins.
Classic hamburger only at Wendy's. It's better here. Our pickup window is open till midnight or later.
The Duke fans here at Blacksburg having a little bit better time now as their team is up 48-41 in the second half. Saturday, we've got some more great games coming your way at noon Eastern. Luther Head and the undefeated Illini go against an Iowa team. Forced them into overtime last month. They suffered from blackout in Illinois and Iowa. And then at night, you'll see Mississippi State against number 3 Kentucky.
When you look at Virginia Tech defensively, they know they've got to string together a couple of stops. Keep this crowd in the basketball game.
Dockery penetrates and kicks out. Reddick, shot from outside's been off tonight. Dowdell hustles back down. One and done again. As Dixon couldn't hit a shot.
That's good hustle, though, by Dixon. He misses the shot, but he gets back on defense. And again, forces Daniel Ewing to the baseline, doesn't allow him to turn the corner to get to the basket. Ewing turns it over. But you can't settle for the three-point shot, even with the ball moving. Now you got to be sure to get to the basket or get to the line.
Yeah, they really need a good look.
Very slim margin for error for Virginia Tech right now. It's Duke bouncing up and down defensively, feeling very confident right now.
Dowdell hasn't been able to get much penetration tonight, trying to spread the court a little bit for him. There's a good pickup. Then he forced the shot. Doesn't hit it. The follow will go, though. Collins is there. Very fortunate for Virginia Tech. They needed that desperately.
Oh, absolutely. Dowdell's problem is Daniel Ewing.
Yeah.
Who's playing terrific defense. But when you shoot like that and your guys go get it, you got to feel more confident.
Shavlik Randolph wants it. Lost it on the way up. Excellent double team help by Virginia Tech. Nice penetration and a bank shot by Dixon.
And there are the two stops. Strung together, got this crowd on their feet again.
And the two good shots at the other end. And Mike Krzyzewski wants to stop the momentum at 12-15 and takes a timeout.
Well, Coleman Collins been absolutely terrific today. And you see him just break through two Duke defenders in Randolph and Love, using some strength. And then Carlos Dixon says, the heck with those three-point shots. You know, we need a high percentage. Wasn't exactly the prettiest or the most on balance, but he'll take it.
Coleman Collins, a career-high 12 rebounds. He also has a dozen points. A huge double-double here at home tonight against the number 8 team in the country.
And would you believe it? It's the first one for Virginia Tech this season. The only ACC school without a guy posting a double-double.
Good time to get it. Hokies back within 3. Dockery brings it up. Duke continues to go with that 3-guard alignment. Ewing trying to penetrate. Can't. Back to Reddick. 15 to shoot. Sheldon Williams got into the lane. I think Collins was really expecting some help, sort of gave up on it.
Well, Dixon didn't come down far enough. He started, but he left the gap.
Now King gets away. Nice dish, and then the block by Sheldon Williams, but then the follow by Dixon. Some great individual plays in that sequence. King is very aware as a football player playing basketball.
He's got very good instincts. And by the end of this season, he probably will have his basketball shape intact.
Nice move by Dockery, but couldn't get inside. Now Ewing will be fouled on the way in.
Take a look at King right there. A nice job. And Carlos Dixon, heady, makes it happen.
players over 300 for their career. More from Stoudemire. Doing it outside, doing it inside, and Arizona just doing it in Oregon.
All right, Dave, thanks very much. We have 11:08 to go here, and Duke on top by 3. Virginia Tech refusing to go away. Ewing?
Oh, close to 5.
Boy, it was. Finally got it into Dockery. He looks to Mike Krzyzewski for the play he wants. Mike Krzyzewski's had to call a lot more plays this year than he has in the last several. Tough runner for Dockery. Shadlick Randolph. Rebound blocked by Collins. Collins has just been sensational. Now Reddick with a steal going back the other way. What a play by Reddick. Does not get enough credit for his defense.
Well, he was just lurking in the traffic right there. Sides that pass up all the way. Not a real smart pass, particularly when you need a basket. You got to walk it up a little bit, not take the risk.
Witherspoon checks in for the first time. Tough pass. King then got it to Collins. Well, I'm impressed by King, and I'm really impressed by Collins.
Well, King playing his role. You always need guys that are glue guys.
Yep.
That bring everything together and make it stick.
He's big glue. Collins knocks this one away from Williams.
Talk about J.J. Reddick's anticipation. This is a savvy guy. He's just laying right there. Passer never saw him. And then he finishes on the other end, just barely.
Now Reddick looking for that screen. Good step out by King, but he'll pick up the foul. That's his second. Second team all-conference as a tight end and also an academic first team performer in the ACC. 20 catches, 6 touchdowns for a very good football team.
He looks like one of those red zone go-to guys. He's been pretty good here, passing himself.
The lead is 3. We're under 10. Reddick goes baseline, draws the foul. When you get late in the second half, the ball is going to be in J.J. Reddick's hands more often because they want to draw fouls and eventually send him to the free throw line.
Well, you look at Reddick when he dips that shoulder and gets that arm out. That's what Seth Greenberg was telling us about before. He kind of wonders how they get away with it. But the bottom line is you get head and shoulders past the defender.
Right.
Then the defender's going to be the victim.
Reddick first trip to the free throw line. He is the best free throw shooter in the history of college basketball, but right now he has fallen behind Chris McCray of Maryland as the best free throw shooter this year in the ACC. It's both of these. McCray, also a brilliant free throw shooter with far fewer opportunities, has a slightly better percentage.
Go figure, right?
Unbelievable. How do you get better than the best? Chance for a three-point play as Dixon hits and is fouled by Reddick. 14 for Dixon.
Oddly enough, that's the way that you put pressure on J.J. Reddick. You make him play defense as well. And Carlos Dixon with that 6'7" frame with arms longer finds a way to get that mid-range jump shot. Really nothing that J.J. Reddick can do.
Dixon out of Salisbury, North Carolina. Had foot problems his entire career. Missed last year with that injury. The lead is 2, 9.5 minutes left. Ewing can't hit it. Another rebound for Collins.
Terrific defense again by Gordon. Forced Ewing beyond the basket. Took him down to that baseline, didn't let him come back.
Virginia Tech with a chance to tie or take the lead. This is Dixon. Gordon guarded by Dockery. Gordon trying to penetrate and can't. King, nice head fake, but couldn't get inside. Gordon with a hanger. And Ewing lost it out of bounds. Fresh 35 for Virginia Tech.
Well, we talk about Jamon Gordon and his defense. Look at him right here. He's not going to allow him to turn the corner to the basket. Just forces him down baseline. Ewing still uses the athleticism to get back in line with the basket, but he was beyond the basket on that drive. Again, that's a defender pushing a guy where he wants to.
Nice bounce pass to King. Uses his body to shield the ball. Gets the offensive rebound and draws the foul. Well, you have to hand it to Virginia Tech. They came into this game as the worst rebounding team in the ACC, averaging almost 5 rebounds a game less than their opponents, and they have just beaten Duke on the boards.
Well, they've been battling. Again, you get guys getting themselves in position. King missed that shot, but he never left the spot and just kept it alive until he finally had a chance to draw the foul.
Melchione was charged with that last foul. Bodies fly, loose ball. King tips it outside. Virginia Tech again with a basketball and out of the corner. It's Dixon. Are you kidding? They're on their feet in Blacksburg.
And the longer Virginia Tech hung around, the more difficult they were going to become, particularly at home right now.
Dowdell on the steal. What a pass! And then
what a
a block
defensive
by
play.
Ewing.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. He snatched it right out of the air. Reddick, this would be a killer. Couldn't hit it.
Boy,
holy cow,
you
what plays.
talk about athleticism. Daniel Ewing.
Oh, that was spectacular. We've been able to say that several times tonight.
Oh, he just doesn't get enough credit for his defense. Everybody looks at him as a scorer, and he's converted to play the point very well.
Williams clears this one.
But it's really Ewing's defense that's been superlative throughout this season.
The lead has changed hands 10 times tonight. We've been tied 8 times. The Hokies right now have the lead 56-54. Reddick in Roy, Melchione with that range. Can't hit it. One and done again. Collins with another rebound. He'll remember this night for the rest of his life. And this will be a foul. I'm almost surprised that one didn't go in. Gordon throws up a prayer, and Reddick has picked up his 4th personal. Watch this play. Ewing blocks it, takes it.
Pizza. Grab a strip, and you're destined to dip.
If you joined us late, how about this? Virginia Tech on top of Duke, 56-54. Duke won the first game by 35, Len.
Well, and I will say this again, a young team with revenge on its mind, and then you get a crowd like this really pushing them. They're playing aggressively. Look at the foul trouble right there. 2 key guys for Duke in foul trouble, as well as Virginia Tech, but Virginia Tech doesn't seem to be fazed by it. And when I talked to Seth Greenberg today, I couldn't believe how prophetic he could be. He said this game, it's not about plays, it's about players making plays, and that's been the fun of this game. You've seen such terrific individual plays made by guys on the floor.
That was the first point of the second half for Jamon Gordon. Now he has 2. The lead is 4, 58-54, and Jordan Collins has had a career night. 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocked shots for Virginia Tech. Williams wants the ball, wheels inside and scores.
Well, that's one thing Coleman Collins is going to have to do. He's going to have to take more of that baseline away. He's given just enough for Big Sheldon Williams to squeeze through.
14 points for Sheldon Williams. J.J. Reddick, the ACC's leading scorer, on the bench with 4 fouls. Gordon got the roll. Virginia Tech playing as if they are supposed to win right now. They believe. Ewing nicked the front of the rim. Dowdell with a rebound. They'll slow it down with 6:12 on the clock.
This is how you build leads right now. You don't take risks, you execute. Dowdell
looking for a screen. Gordon with 15 to shoot. They'll take Dockery out, and they'll try to spread the court. Gordon into the lane, lost it on the way up, then kicked away. Without a possession, that's going to be a shot clock violation as they miss the rim. Dixon had to take the desperation shot. Duke touched it, but there was no possession.
But again, it was about execution. That time Duke got a hand on the ball on the clear out.
Try to get it inside. Melchior or Randolph, who made the bad pass, goes to the floor to pick up the ball and calls a timeout to save it.
And the possession arrow is pointing towards Duke. You got to know when you come out of the huddle which way the possession arrow is going.
You're right.
That's a timeout that Shavlik Randolph didn't have to burn. He could have just held on to the ball.
This weekend, don't miss more great regional college basketball on ABC. Saturday at 1 Eastern. You'll either see Clemson, North Carolina, or Iowa State, Kansas. Here on the West Coast, you'll see San Francisco against Gonzaga at 3. Check local listings for the game in your area.
Mike, we'll see if that burn timeout comes back to haunt Duke. But, you know, I always think that guys, when they make those plays, I mean, you really got to be cognizant of where the arrow's pointing. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time out.
Redick on the bench with 4 fouls with 5:27 to go. You're Mike Krzyzewski. If you're still within hailing distance, you can afford to leave him there. But if it gets to 6, you have the feeling that he'd be in there. Duke, after a loss, spectacular, as you might expect. Speaking of spectacular, how about the Hokies defense all night? Dowdell.
Well, let me give the officials some credit right now. There's a lot of flopping going on, and they're not fighting. They're making them play.
Duke gets switched up on defense, and Dowdell forced that one up. Knocked away. Here come the Blue Devils on the run. 3-on-2. Dockery on the way, and he's fouled. That'll be on Carlos Dixon. That's his 4th.
Good transition basketball by Duke. Once again, open floor turnover. They're going to try to convert. And they're one of the best in the business at doing that. Between Duke and Carolina, I still think Carolina gets the edge. But Duke with 10 steals a game, you know, they have ample opportunity in the open floor to convert.
Now, Mike Krzyzewski asked one of the officials a question. 2 of them have gone to the scorer's table. Now they're explaining what they're doing to Seth Greenberg as Dockery waits the free throw line. And they have altered the game clock to 4 minutes and 48 seconds. Dockery hits the free throw. John Dockery started this year as a 57% free throw shooter. He's up to 73. He started this season as a 19% long-range shooter. Beyond the three-point arc, he's up to 45. You don't improve that much without just working your rear end off. And he deserves a lot of credit for it. And it's tough going from a bad shooter to a good one. And that's the transition he's made. Not just mediocre, he's become a good shooter. 60 to 58. Now the officials have whistled play to a halt. I don't think the clock started on time there. It's only down 3 seconds. Now they've adjusted the shot clock 1 second. We're certainly keeping an eye on everything, aren't we? Javon Gordon against Dockery. Redick is back in there against Dowdell. Crowd wanted to foul. That would have been J.J.'s 5th.
Well, that's pretty aggressive by Redick. That time trying to deny. Almost got his arm caught up, and that certainly would have been a blow to Duke. He's got to be careful.
Shot clock is all the way down to 3. Great job of jumping and possessing the ball, Carlos Dixon. And now they're going to call a foul after Dixon went up and got the ball. And they'll call it on Reddick.
Well, there's no substitution for athleticism and good hands. Actually, it looks like they called it
on Ewing, excuse me. And that didn't look like there was any contact at all. Ewing, sometimes officials will make a call over something that they are assuming has happened. And that may have been the case there because there was no contact. Ewing with 3, Reddick with 4. Now Washington and Dixon both have 4 for the Hokies.
On that one, Dixon is the key guy right there. Washington's been on the bench for a while.
Dowdell under 4 minutes to go. The lead is 2 for Virginia Tech. Dixon working against Reddick.
Dixon is key because he's got the offensive capability to put pressure on J.J. Reddick. I'm really surprised they're not going to Dixon right now.
Now a whistle. Seth Greenberg with 8 seconds on the shot clock calls a timeout.
That was, he might not have liked the way that offense was set up, but now you're giving Duke a chance to dig in.
You know, when coaches call timeout and it's under 10 seconds on the shot clock, I know they have their reasons, but I always think that they put their teams at a real disadvantage in that situation.
And I agree, especially when you're playing a team that loves to pressure the ball and does such a good job at it. Now, again, I think that Carlos Dixon is the guy that they have to at least give a look, allow him to be aggressive to the basket, force J.J. Reddick to either foul him or back off of him.
Duke can ill afford to lose this ball game. They are 1 game behind Wake Forest and North Carolina in the loss column in the race for the regular season ACC championship and seeding going into the tournament. On the other hand, Virginia Tech, if they win this ball game, they go to 6-6. They're tied for 4th. And Miami is also tied for 4th. Do you believe this?
It's almost like they're playing with house money right now. They should be loosey-goosey.
That's right. Gordon lost it on the way in. And that's what I mean. About 8 seconds, you don't give your team a whole lot of time to operate.
Yeah, that was poorly conceived, and Gordon got triple teamed with no outlet. He has a better job of Collins taking that baseline away from Williams.
Williams makes a nice pass on the baseline. Reddick trying to get inside. That one is tipped out of bounds by Virginia Tech with 17 seconds to go in the game. The Hokies continue to lead by 2.
And plays at home. Introducing the Performa from Hitachi. Inspire the next.
Virginia Tech by 2 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in this game. You know, you always hope that you're going to have a great college basketball game. Just being selfish as announcers, but it's tough to come in here and expect it after Duke won the opener by 35.
Well, again, we talked about the formula for an upset. Young team with revenge on their minds, and you've got a crowd that's really enjoying this. This is such a great environment because they're not really used to this.
7 to shoot. Reddick into the lane, off balance, got the roll. We're tied at 60.
And there
Reddick has 16.
That's the will of J.J. Reddick. He willed that ball in, falling to his knees, still stayed square.
Big possession here.
Dixon is looking for the ball. He's got a one.
Against Reddick, nice spin move to get open, and then Randolph reached in and got a hand on it. Great double team by Shavlik Randolph.
Well, the floor wasn't spread enough, and Dixon had to recognize that.
14 Virginia Tech turnovers. Duke has committed only 8. Williams against the triple team. Knocked out of bounds.
Again, you talk about the will of J.J. Reddick. He had to get there. Contact, still falling to his knees right now. Shoulders still square.
Reddick again wants the same maneuver, then fades away short on the jumper. Still tied, 2:15 left.
That time the switch with Gordon on Reddick, a lot more difficult.
Dowdell has not been much of an offensive factor. King. Jump hook, got it! Are you kidding?
I'll tell you what, Duke's risk didn't pay off. Shavlik Randolph guarding Jeff King was leaving him to help double team, trying to play 5-on-4. King kept him honest.
King having a career game, showing no fear at all. Hokies by 2. Sheldon Williams again. Looking where the double team might be coming from and makes a spectacular shot with the left hand, 16 for Williams.
And again, there's the improvement by Sheldon Williams. Just 4 or 5 feet around the basket. That's all you need to be able to use that left hand.
Man, what a great game this has been. There have been just one spectacular play after another. Dixon, baseline, missed the shot. Following a foul. And who else? Collins came in to get the loose ball. A foul on Shamlick Randolph. That's 4 on him.
And you see Randolph in this particular play. Williams had to come help out on King because Randolph had left him. And Virginia Tech found him. But then Sheldon Williams with that left hand, using his body to ward Collins off. You know, that's a terrific post move inside. And, you know, practice makes perfect. Again, that's all Duke does in their warm-ups with their big guys, that really get them focused on playing in there by running through those drills. Muscle memory carries them through.
Collins missed a big free throw, then he misses another one. Jeff King has had a career-high 7 points tonight. He had a career-high 8 rebounds the first time these teams played. He has been terrific off the bench for Virginia Tech, which usually doesn't get anything, and I mean virtually anything, off the bench.
And except for a couple of times when he turned it over, ill-advised pass.
College basketball on Saturday at noon. Undefeated Illinois against Iowa. Remember, Iowa took Illinois in overtime last month. That game subject to blackout in Illinois and Iowa. And then at night, Mississippi State at 9 o'clock against number 3 Kentucky. Here's something else to watch in this game. Duke is dangerously thin. The last game they played, a loss against Maryland, they had 5 guys foul out. If this game goes to overtime, Duke puts itself in tremendous jeopardy. And here is the coaches poll. Duke 8th this week and 3rd in the ACC, a game behind Wake in North Carolina. Tied at 62. Reddick. Look at the number of screens they set for him. Pull up. Reddick. Didn't get it. King rebound. Under a minute to go.
Well, Duke's going to get possession again. They're looking to try to play defense and make this stop.
Dixon. Tipped it. Was it Gordon?
About 4 white shirts on that ball.
A lot of guys claiming credit. The lead is 2. Reddick for the lead. Got it. Holy cow. Duke by 1. Dowdell. Got it. That's a 3.
Neither coach calling timeout. They don't want the defenses to get set. They've got enough firepower to create.
Ewing. In and out. Fight for the rebound. Jump ball. Possession arrow gives it to Duke with 4.9 to go. Shamlick Randolph with a heck of a play to keep Duke alive. And now Mike Krzyzewski will take a timeout. The Hokies on the verge of an enormous upset. They are up by 2.
And Jamon Gordon looks like he's cramping up. It looks like it's loosening up, but you can see the bulge in his muscle. He's just exhausted. He has been playing his heart out on both ends, as are just about everybody else on the floor.
How clutch are these buckets?
I mean, it's unbelievable. Again, there's the tip in. Actually, it was Gordon.
Yeah, it was Jamon Gordon.
And then Reddick, like I said, he always believes no matter how many he misses, the next one's going in.
And it usually does.
And there you see Gordon again on that baseline, sneaking in underneath the big guys with the tip.
It's been a remarkable effort on behalf of both teams. Now, if you're Duke, 4.9, are you thinking 2, 3, or just a good shot?
Well, when you get a shooter like J.J. Reddick and a guy like Daniel Ewing who are able to bust the 3, you want to take what's available. You want to spread the floor. Obviously, Sheldon Williams is going to be the first option because you also have a chance to draw a foul with him down low. But if he gets doubled, you got still enough time to kick it back out for that quick shot at the buzzer.
And you've got to come out on Redick, and you still have to guard against him driving and fouling him because he's automatic from the line.
On the inbounds, you got to take a look at Williams down low. But then you got Shavlik Randolph at the top. Look for him to screen down and grab somebody. And Seth Greenberg sees something and calls it 30 seconds.
I've always thought this was fascinating. You see how the other team comes out on the court. Now you call a timeout. So the question for me as a fan has always been, well, why don't you just come back out in the same set? Because, you know, I mean, you've got 5 different ways you can come out. What's the coach going to do? Take one away?
Well, also, it's about seeing which personnel is out there on the floor. You know, you're playing or coaching against the personnel as opposed to the play. They know just about every out-of-bounds play unless Mike Krzyzewski makes something up there. And they've gone over it, but you look at the personnel and see where you can help, where you might not be able to help.
Virginia Tech has not beaten a top 10 team in 20 years. 20. This could do it.
They gave Williams the look. He didn't get it.
Redick. Ewing to win it. No! Virginia Tech has done it. They have beaten Duke 67-65. There are about 3 security people trying to keep 5,000 people from coming onto the court. That doesn't work.
And how about Seth Greenberg? You know, you talk about them coming into the ACC, the difficulty he might have in recruiting in the state of Virginia and throughout. I'll tell you what, you talk about a boost for this program, probably the biggest win in a generation.
And it's got to be one of the happiest nights of his life. Here's the last shot, Ewing with a great look.
Well, they double-teamed J.J. Redick, got the ball out of his hands, but that's like picking your poison because Daniel Ewing, an excellent shooter from beyond the arc, just couldn't get it to go down.
A remarkable night for Seth Greenberg and Virginia Tech, a team that lost the first meeting between these teams 100-65 at Duke. Tonight, they don't lose it. They win it 67-65. Coming up, College Game Night. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, for Lenny Elmore and our entire